when I was a kid. I was about 5 years old, and instead of putting up or setting up a lemonade stand in front of the family home, I grabbed the card table and some of my younger brother's toys, cleaned them up, and started selling my brother's toys to the other kids in the neighborhood. And my mom saw what was happening, and she put a quick stop to it. And I can't remember if I shared my profits with my brothers or not.
Welcome to Side Hustle Hero, the show that is laser focused to inspire you to take action to start or to scale your side hustle income streams. I'm your host, Joan Posivy, author of The Way Success Works, How to Decide, Believe, and Begin to Live Your Best Life. It appears that today's guest was destined to be running his own business, but it wasn't always that way. Despite his short-lived resale toy venture, Brian Winch became a shipper-receiver, working full-time for a large company. But that entrepreneurial spirit never left him. And so he began a side hustle, picking up litter around the outside of commercial buildings. The source of his inspiration and idea for this business is so cool. After 2 years of building his side hustle, he dove in full-time. There are so many things I love about this business, especially its very low-cost entry point, ability to get paid for literally going for a walk, and it's totally scalable. Brian's gross earnings are consistently over $600,000 a year. And after all these years, he still enjoys getting out there and cleaning lots. But today, he's also teaching and guiding others to set up and thrive in their own lot cleaning businesses. Today's end of episode takeaway is inspired by an add-on service that Brian provides his clients. I hope it'll cause you to give some thought as to how you could apply the idea behind it to elevate your offering and wow your clients. Now here is the author of Clean Lots, a parking lot litter cleanup business you can be proud of, Brian Winch. Welcome, Brian.
Hi, Joan. It's great to be here.
There is so much that I love about your business as a side hustle, and we'll get into the reasons why it's a great opportunity for the right person. But first, please tell us, how did you get involved in cleaning up lots?
Well, I was 21 years old. My dad had just recently passed away, and I was tinkering with the idea of starting a parking lot litter cleaning service, similar to what he had done as a side hustle. And he had taken me along with him when I was a young teenager, 14, 15 years of age, a couple of times to help him out. And I remembered how easy it was to do. It was almost like going for a walk, except we were making money from doing it. And I enjoyed working those early morning hours. And I was thinking about starting something, and that was foremost in my mind. But I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of skills, and barely graduated high school. So I was, kind of limited in my options, but I decided to look at what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do.
Sure.
And, I've been in this business for 40 plus years. And, I tell people you need to be passionate, patient, and persistent to be successful. And people oftentimes say, come on, Brian, you're passionate about cleaning up litter from parking lots. And you know what? That's not the way I look at it. Is when I started the business, I wanted to work outdoors. I love being outdoors. I didn't want to be inside. I wanted to feel good about the service that I was providing for the community. I wanted to see the results of my work, like right away. I mean, so, when I pull into a parking lot and I clean it and I leave it, I can see the results from the work. And obviously being in the business for 40 years, I love the lifestyle it provides for me. So, So if, to answer that question, do you enjoy cleaning up litter from parking lots? Absolutely.
And there is that pride. You look back and it's like, that's looking really nice now.
Exactly. And every once in a while, I do get compliments. People will shout out at me, the other early birds that are out, maybe on their way to work, and they'll say, "Hey, great work! I appreciate it, buddy." And it's all. It always makes you feel good whenever you get a compliment.
And the need for that business has stood the test of time. I love it that this is a second generation side hustle.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
that's yeah.
What were you doing full time when you started it?
Well, I was a full-time shipper receiver for a large sporting goods company. And I didn't mind the job, but I came to the realization one day, I woke up and I thought, you know what, I'm probably going to be doing this the rest of my life. because I didn't have a lot of skills and I didn't have that education, in order to move up the ladder, if you will.
Okay.
So I thought, well, do I want to do this the rest of my life? No, and I always was an independent person, a thinker. And I guess entrepreneurism came to me or comes to me pretty naturally, because I remember when I was a kid, I was about 5 years old. And instead of putting up or setting up a lemonade stand in front of the family home,
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed a card table and some of my younger brother's toys, cleaned them up, and started selling my brother's toys to the other kids in the neighborhood.
Not your toys, your brother's
Not
toys you were
not
selling.
my see, it wasn't my toys, but it was my money that I would so. But anyhow, my mom saw this, what was happening, and she put a quick stop to it. And I can't remember if I shared my profits with my brothers or not.
Right.
But like I was always kind of thinking and looking at ideas as to what I could do to work for myself, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, if I'm going to work hard, I don't want it to be for somebody else. I want it to be my own efforts, my own business, and really enjoyed being self-employed for over 40 years now.
Mm-hmm. You've obviously had incredible success with it, building it up from zero to six figures, 600,000, 700,000 a year. But there's not enough hours in the day for one person to make that, picking up litter. So do you have employees, contractors? What's your model and how did that come about?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to kid anybody. It didn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It took many years, and I, to be honest, when I started it, all I ever saw it was just a simple one-man operation, and I did that for 4 years. I was making just over six figures, like 102,000, 105,000, whatever. Really pushing it,
On your
working
own, just
just
for yourself.
just for myself. And then I guess you might say I became a victim of my own success, because my clients wanted more of me at more places, and that's impossible for
Mm-hmm.
for me to do by myself. So, I brought other people in, friends, relatives, coworkers, like from my old employer, that were looking at making some extra money on the side. I had great results from that, and some of those people actually still work for me. I mean, close to 40 years later. And I have people that work for me part time, like as a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfectly happy with their full time employment, but they need a little bit of extra money for whatever
Right.
reason. Pay off some debt, or pay some bills, or fund a college fund, a retirement fund, whatever. And then we've got the other people who work for us full time, and so we can accommodate the wishes of both groups of people. And over the years, I've expanded the people that work for me, from the friends and coworkers, relatives, to some other small cleaning contractors. They enjoy providing the cleaning or doing the cleaning,
Right.
but they don't necessarily have the marketing skills to go out and get their own contracts. So it works out really well for both of us. I get great results from these cleaners, and they get the work from me.
Terrific. So are they like hourly employees or you work out a contract with them?
We pay people to do the work as subcontractors,
Okay.
and then we find we have more control, and the people are more motivated, especially when they learn that there are tax write-offs or benefits to
Yes,
being self-employed.
for
And
sure.
yeah, it's worked really well, that business model for us.
And what an amazing accomplishment where you can say that some of those employees are with you or some of those people involved in the business are with you 40 years later. That's amazing. That's retention.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I guess they see, they enjoy the same benefits that I get from providing the work. If they didn't enjoy doing it, there's no way they would have lasted so long.
No,
Hopefully they'll continue to work for us, as long as we continue to provide the service, and it's worked out really well for everybody, like I said.
given the growth that you've seen then in the business, why didn't you ever franchise?
Again, I like to keep things simple. I did, to be honest with you, I did look into that. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, this isn't for me. I would have to hire people to run various aspects of the business. Travel would be involved, perhaps, in visiting these other cities and training people, et cetera, et cetera. And then one of the biggest reasons was the cost or expense. Let me back up a bit too. There's no benefit if a person was to buy my franchise, it's such a simple business. After a while, they're going to start questioning, why am I paying royalty fees? Why am
Right.
I paying franchise fees? Like the
Hmm.
ongoing fees. So nowadays the subscription fees are the biggest thing. I'm sure if I had
Sure.
done that model to begin with, there would have been all sorts of problems with people saying, well, I feel I'm not getting anything for the how many thousands of dollars a month I'm having to
Right.
pay,
Hmm. Yep.
so that's why I ruled that whole business model out.
How did you start showing other people how to do the business?
The idea for the book came about 4 years after I started the business, and
Okay.
it just dawned on me that, hey, I've discovered something. I mean, it's so easy. It's almost as easy to do as going for a walk. You just need to show up and do the work. And then one of the keys to my success as well is I do more than what I promise. And let me explain that. I mean, anybody can clean, and a lot of people do, and that's all they do. But they're missing an opportunity to build more solid relationships with their customers. And the way we do that is by providing free reporting. So, in other words, if we're cleaning up parking lot and we happen to notice some property damage, maybe a stop sign's been run down, maybe the wall has been tagged with fresh graffiti, or somebody has dumped a mattress at the back of the property which needs to be
Oh,
hauled away, we contact our clients first thing in the morning and send them an image of what we saw, and what we're texting about, so that they can deal with it first thing in the morning. So they appreciate the reporting. It makes their job easier. And with the constant communication, we develop a relationship. They learn to trust us. There's a loyalty built there. So they're more likely to want to continue to do business or more business with us than always looking for a competitor's price.
what a fantastic add-on. And it really doesn't take you that much longer to
Now,
be able to provide that service.
all it takes is just the time to take a picture and then text a message, and you're done. And
Wow.
it pays so much from that simple little thing.
Oh, yeah. I owned a self-storage facility for about 18 years. And at one point, I was living about 20 minutes from the facility. And that would have been an invaluable service to me because before I headed out to the storage facility in the morning, if you had sent me a picture with something I needed to deal with, I can run over to the hardware store first or grab everything from the shop, whatever, so that when I arrive, I can get on it right away.
Yeah, exactly.
So good for you.
And it makes your job easier.
Hmm. So then you decided to write your book, Clean Lots, to share this fabulous business idea. When did you start offering video and print and then phone and email support, which I think is a terrific add on?
Well, I kept the price of the book very reasonable, and I was looking at my numbers, and I didn't do this to become rich, through the book, through book sales, because there's a lot of skeptics out there, and they oftentimes will say, well, this whoever's sharing information or selling this or that through a course or whatever. I mean, the way they're getting rich is just by selling
Selling the
this stuff.
course of the book,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's not my case. I mean,
Hmm.
my major source of income is still from cleaning parking lots. This is something that's on the side. And I decided, well, if I'm putting some time into this and talking to some people over the years, people have asked some interesting questions like, well, what if you did this? And then also, it just comes natural over the evolution of running the business, where I discovered myself that, well, what would be great in assisting me to market my service if I came up with an explainer video. And so
Mm.
once I did that and I put it up on my own website, I thought, well, this would be a great product for people that bought my book. You don't have to buy it, but if you wanted to, this helps you explain the message in a video. Your prospects can see exactly what they're hearing in the brief video. It's like, I think, 90 seconds, and they can see a person walking through a parking lot and cleaning up, and how they're doing it, and what tools they're using. And then there are other products such as the business forms, the template kit. Some people said, well, I see that you've provided some forms and you've completed them in the book, but do you have any of these forms that I can buy from you, or a template kit? And I thought, Great idea. Let's put together some business forms.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur. Of course, I can do that for you.
Yeah, of course I can do that. It's going to cost you a few bucks extra because nothing
Sure.
is for free except my support. But but it's totally up to people what they want to do. You can just get started with the book, but for some people like to pick or choose one or two of the other products, and it does, believe me, it does help them get started probably quicker and faster.
Oh, sure, because they could read the book and then pick up the phone and ask you certain things about applying it to their specific neighborhood.
Yeah. Everyone's got different technical abilities, and I'm sure someone could easily on the internet, find some examples of different business forms, and then, in Word or whatever, Google Docs, create their own business forms. More power to you. But there's other people that don't want that or have to put time into doing that, and they just want things now. And so that, they can get it really quick if that's what they decide to want to buy extra from me.
And something tells me that you would have a good enough rapport with a number of these people that you have helped over the years, that if they did develop one of the business forms that was doing an even better job, that they would probably fire it back to you and say, hey, Brian, take a look at this.
Oh yeah, I get people sharing things with me all the time. Or maybe they want some guidance, putting together their very first price for a project, and they'll send me some pictures or give me an address so I can look at it at Google Maps or whatever.
Oh, perfect.
But I caution people that I don't do that myself when I'm quoting on my own properties. I physically go out and walk the property, because you need that 3D, the three dimensions, so you can see better as opposed to just a two-dimensional picture. It does have its worth, because you get an idea what you're facing before you go out and take a look at the property. But yeah, you really do need to walk the property. And again, that's all covered in my book, how to walk a property, how to come up with a price, etc. But I do provide that extra support if people have questions about pricing or whatever, like getting started. What do I need to do? In my book, I have a quick checklist. These are the things you need to do: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And so some people lack the skills to plan. Some people get overwhelmed. I mean, they've never been in business before. What do I do? And so, I've got that little plan where I break it down and say, just chip away at it. And before you know it, you're there.
Yes. Especially if they know that you're a phone call or an email away.
Right.
How much does it cost to get started in this business, Brian?
Well, you can get the cost of the book is $80.
Okay.
That'll get you started, give you all the information. And then I tell people to start this the way I did as a side hustle when I started out. I didn't have a lot of money, and a lot of people, they're starting something because they want to make extra money. So I tell them, be careful with your cash. Don't go out and start spending money on a website when you can start out with a Google My Business listing. And the website will follow, but be careful with your money, and you should put stuff into just getting started. The cost of tools, you get started for under $100. Your biggest expense would be the business liability insurance, but people have to remember it is a business expense. You can write it off, and it's there to protect not only your clients, but it protects you as well. So that is a must. Some of your prospects and clients actually will ask for proof of your certificate of insurance every year on an annual basis. So, but that's just a cost of business. I mean, you don't have to rent anything. There's no expensive equipment. You can operate this business from your home. So, I don't really know of many other legitimate businesses, service businesses, you can start as inexpensively as this.
And neither you nor I can offer tax advice. And certainly, our listeners are going to be in different various countries, but suddenly now your vehicle is going to have some tax benefits there.
That's right.
Gas, etc.
That's exactly it. As long as you keep a log of the mileage.
Yeah.
And so you can, if you're ever audited, you can show that, okay, this percentage was for business use, the other percentage was for personal use, etc. And the same thing goes with the office space at home. If you find you can write that percentage of the square footage in your home off against either your rent payments or your mortgage, your house insurance, you name it. So, that goes back when I first mentioned, when hired some people, and we contract them as subcontractors, and they've never been in business before. And we're explaining to them, well, look at there's benefits to operating this way. I mean, look at the tax
Yes.
benefits write-offs that you get. And so, like I say, they've been doing this for 30, 40 years for us.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Since you've been helping people one-on-one start and grow this business, what's been the biggest challenges that you've seen from them in building their business?
Well, everyone has got different degrees of abilities, attitudes. I think one of the biggest, like some people that buy it, they've been in business before, or they actually are currently operating a business. And maybe they do this, they add it to their list of businesses or services or whatever. But for people that are just starting out, just like I was in 1981, with no skills or business knowledge, it's how to get started. What do I do first, and can I do this? And let me give you a story. I think it ties in really nicely. Is people will say, well, Brian, I've never sold anything before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I cut them off, say, no, 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 no. Everybody has sold something in their lives. And usually it starts with yourself. And then I tell them, well, look, at when you were a kid and you were old enough to think, oh, you know what? I would like to have a raise in my allowance. You're going to find a way to approach your mom or dad and give them plenty of great reasons to justify why you should get a raise. You're selling yourself. And then later on, when you got your first part-time job, you're in a job interview. Well, you need to be presentable. And again, you've learned different things. I've got to look at the person in the eye, and as opposed to looking at my feet or on the ground, looking at the ground, and how to behave, and how to conduct yourself. And even when it comes to dating, it's the same thing. You're selling yourself. So if you've never sold a product in your life, everybody has learned how to sell themselves. So one of the things I tell them, well, when you're doing cold calling, for example, and you're prospecting, you're not selling anything. I tell people that what you're doing is sharing the benefits of your service, how your service can give your customer or prospect a cleaner property and how they can save money. And you just want to share that and share some more information with them. And then once people recognize, okay, well, I guess I can do that. I mean, I'm not picking up the phone and saying you need to buy or my service. Far from that. And nobody likes the hard sell anyhow these days, especially people that are busy, such as property managers or operations managers.
So I guess I was going to ask you about that. What size businesses or lots would a person have most success with this? Because I mean, the larger properties are going to have building managers.
I tell people, and I guess it's still true, the majority of properties that you're going to service are small to medium-sized commercial properties. It could be a strip plaza with maybe 3, 5, 6 stores in it.
Okay.
It might be a medium-sized office building, maybe 2 or 3 stories, maybe an underground parking garage, maybe not, maybe just above ground parking, and maybe even some smaller industrial properties where you've got a office in the front and warehouse space in the back. But and I say most of the properties will be that is because of the simple fact that most commercial properties in any given city are of that nature, small to medium size.
Okay.
But we have always, and we still do, a number of larger properties, some of the big box retailers or town centers. Maybe some developments with an anchor tenant, such as a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And then there could be maybe a fast food restaurant, maybe 2 other restaurants, and a number of other retail or office type of tenants. But
Right.
the ones you will never get. Oh, and actually, let me back up. I mean, we can do Walmart supercenters, Costco's, and so some of those are pretty big.
Yes.
But it is possible to service those, and they're looking for someone who can provide a service such as ours. But the indoor malls, that's something that you will never get because they are done in-house. They typically have their own cleaning staff. And their cleaning staff will throughout the day. I mean, if you've been to a mall, you probably notice, a janitor or cleaners going around emptying litter containers inside, maybe with a mop, and cleaning windows,
Hmm.
and they utilize a crew to clean the outsides as well. And those are really big properties, and so it warrants the service that they provide.
And that was going to be my next question to you, Brian. How often would a contract be serviced? How many times a week?
Well, the whole nature of our service is to maintain the properties
Okay.
litter free. All of our customers, they're not interested in seeing an accumulation of material buildup. They want the service typically done on a frequent basis. Some cases, we've got some buildings 7 days a week, but most of our properties are anywhere from 5 days, Monday through Friday. And some of the smaller strip plazas can easily get by with 3 day a week service, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And I know it's going to depend on the neighborhood and how much litter is typically there, but average time for you to do a lot?
Almost the time it takes to walk the property. So we're talking, depending on the size, of course,
Sure.
some of the smaller properties could be 5, 10, 15 minutes. Some of the larger ones, well, maybe 20, 30 minutes. We have some properties that it could be an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yes.
It's just basically walking the sidewalk, the parking lots, the surrounding landscape, and using the unique tool that we use that you just simply walk up to a piece of litter material, sweep it into the collection bag, and off you go. And when you're finished, you dump all the contents from your tool into a waste dumpster on site, and then off you go to the next property service.
And you did a terrific job, Brian, demonstrating that in that video you referred to earlier.
Yeah, well, I'm glad, because that's what a lot of people should do if they don't know what I'm talking about. I have trouble envisioning, how would you clean a property. On my website, there is a video where you can see me
Yes.
actually walking a property and cleaning it.
And I did want to, and thanks for the info on the length of time it takes and the number of repetitions per week, because I was thinking if somebody wants to crunch the numbers and see, okay, how many of these properties and so much per hour before I go to work in the morning. Because I would imagine it
Yeah.
would make sense that most of these were going to be done in the morning.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and the service needs to be done after hours. And now that doesn't mean it's at midnight. Ideally, it's probably best sometime after 3 a.m.
Hmm.
Depending how many properties you have. I mean, if you're just doing this on the side and you've got one or two or three properties, you could easily start that probably at 5 or 6 or 7 in the morning. And if you wanted to keep your full-time job, just get some morning exercise, go for a walk, and then off to work you go.
Get paid to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Let's shift from the people you're serving to your business itself. What do you think has been the biggest contributing factor in your ability to grow the business?
The cleaning business.
Mm-hmm.
I guess being able to provide that personal service and going that extra mile and providing that communication that our clients receive from us that they don't necessarily get from their other service vendors.
Right. And I guess adding the contractors on to be able to duplicate
Oh
yourself.
yeah, I mean you've got to
Yeah.
scale. You've got to scale your business, and every business is different. But you find a model that works, and then if it works, then it's almost a no-brainer. You continue to scale it, and it should still work for you, and generate that much additional revenue for you.
What are a couple of maybe top pieces of advice that you'd give to someone wanting to get started in the lot cleanup business?
Do it for the right reasons. Don't chase the dollar signs. And again, I do have another free download on my website. Is this the right business for you? And it gives you some information. If you're trying to decide, well, can I do this? Do I want to do this? Then you're not wasting anybody's time.
Right.
Your time, your money. But yeah, I mean, you've got to do it for the right reasons. And like I said, when I started this business, it was to work for myself. And then, I found through doing from working the business, I had all sorts of other benefits that I got from doing it, such as the satisfaction from seeing the work done and knowing I'm making my community a cleaner, a better place. But if you don't care about any of those things, then I don't think
Right.
it's the right business for you, and I don't think you'd be successful with it. I was trying to say earlier, with the passion, whatever you get involved with, you're going to have those rocky moments, those tough days.
Sure.
And if you are passionate with the idea behind your business, and you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to have the energy. You're going to find it within yourself to get over those hurdles and to work out the solutions and to find solutions to the problems so you can continue to move forward and grow.
Mm-hmm. And if I can just add to that too, having the mindset that there is a solution.
Exactly. And that's one thing that I've learned over 40 years. There is always a solution.
Yes.
And a lot of people, I think they just give up too soon. I mean, whatever business they start. And,
Yes.
I've heard of all sorts of stories. I mean, especially the last few years, it's been tough going with the pandemic and the restrictions and everything. But some of the businesses in my city that I saw come out of it, they're doing better than they ever have because
Yes.
they had to pivot. They had to add other sources of revenue. I mean, if people couldn't go into the restaurants to sit and eat, besides offering takeout, one of my clients actually owns a couple of restaurants, or bars and grills, and he developed a product line or meal kits where his customers or other people could order that, and he
Wow.
did so well with that. He continues to sell those items. He didn't, just because the pandemic, the restrictions have ended, etc., doesn't mean that he dropped those items. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's just been more successful as a result of it. And then, unfortunately, there's some other people, and I don't really know their stories or know them, but sometimes it's all too easy. If their business was failing beforehand, it would be pretty easy to say, well, I lost my business because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I know one of those restaurant owners as well that
Yeah.
actually their sales went through the roof during parts of the pandemic because, like the people you just described, he had to pivot.
Yeah.
And they started doing way more takeout and really started pushing that on social media. And they've done really well in that regard.
Yeah. Well, and there we go. Social media. I mean, I still am dumbfounded when I read the statistics as to how many small businesses in this country still don't have a website or any social media presence. That's just amazing to me.
Mm,
And and I don't know how anyone could have survived during the pandemic without being on social media and without having a website.
yeah, to have that connection with your existing clients, potential ones. How did the lot cleaning business fare during the pandemic?
Actually, we weren't sure at first because with businesses being forced to shut down, we thought,
Yes.
oh no, how is that going to affect our business? Of course, some businesses were allowed to operate. Of course, the Walmarts and Costco's continued to operate,
Mm-hmm.
but for service businesses, we were nervous, and then we found out that we were deemed an essential service because of what we do, and that's keep properties clean. And with the number of used PPE that people were discarding in parking lots, like masks,
Oh,
used
yeah.
masks and
Yeah.
wipes and even gloves for a while. We sometimes we still clean up gloves. So I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, it was nobody wanted to see that stuff, and our customers certainly didn't want to.
Right.
So we continued to operate out there. We had one or two clients, actually. It was just one, and who said, well, you know what, we own some larger properties that quite a few of our businesses they're not allowed to operate, so we need you guys out there, but on a less frequent basis. So I think it was only about 9 months where our service schedule was cut back from for example, from 5 day a week to 3 day a week.
Mm-hmm.
So we were still out there doing it,
Right.
and then, but that was only for 9 months. We've been back full strength for quite some time now.
Terrific. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Brian?
Go to my website at cleanlots.com, and there's a wealth of information on the website, and then there's the contact page. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to help you out.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure that that website is in the show notes.
Great.
Do you remember how much you were paid for your very first contract that you landed?
I think it was, geez, about $300, somewhere around $300 a month for, I think this building was 5 days a week. Yeah. And so, yeah, but I mean, that was good. And then I started out with three contracts. Actually, I was with the same client. He gave me three properties to start out with,
Nice.
And so, yeah, that I was really ecstatic at the money I was making with those first three contracts.
So you started with this business idea. You went from zero to grossing upwards of 600,000, some years 700,000 per year. Clearly, you know a thing or two about taking action and getting results. So what's your best tip, Ryan, to help someone take action on their side hustle dream?
Just create a plan. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you need to put together a list. This is what I'm doing today. This is what I hope to accomplish by the end of the week, at the end of the month, and just keep chipping away at it. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days, but celebrate your small victories, because those small victories soon add up to a big win.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Brian, for sharing your really inspiring story, your tips on building a lot cleaning business, and for being today's side hustle hero.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
By the way, if you're doing the number crunching to determine if this business is for you, Brian suggests using $30 to $50 an hour. But keep in mind, as every market is different, you'll want to find out what the pricing is in your local area. He talked about a service he includes, whereby if there's anything he sees during the morning rounds that would require the attention of his client, he'll provide them a photo and notes that morning so that his client can act. That is so smart. It's an invaluable service to the client, yet costs Brian only the amount of time it takes to grab a photo or two and send a quick text. It's a brilliant way to develop a great relationship. So regardless of what industry your side hustle is in, I encourage you to think about what you can provide your clients that would be very valuable to them, but low cost to you. Quick example. Where I live, you go to a local broker to buy your vehicle insurance, but it's actually a government agency that issues the vehicle insurance, and they send out renewal notices about 6 weeks in advance. More than once, I've tossed that renewal notice in my to-do basket, and it's gotten buried and forgotten about. Clearly, I need a better system. But one time in particular, I forgot about it for so long. I came out from a luncheon only to discover that my car was not where I had parked it. It was gone. Once I was convinced that I wasn't losing my mind and I did indeed park it where I thought I did, I walked to the police station and they confirmed that it had been towed. And I asked, why on earth would my car be towed? The officer said, because my insurance expired over a month ago. Yikes. Needless to say, that renewal notice was well buried. I tell you the story because I've been driving in this province for 35 years, and about 3 years ago, I switched to a new broker, and they were the first ones ever to send me an email notice about 10 days before my insurance expires, as a reminder for me to come into their office and renew my insurance. Obviously, they've set it up so that email goes out automatically. I didn't ask them to do it, but I'm so glad they did. It's invaluable to me and low cost to them. So what's something you can dazzle your customers with by doing? Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Well, that's a wrap for today. You'll find a link to Brian's Clean Lots website and the show notes on our website, sidehustleheropodcast.com. And I'd love to hear your feedback on the show, on the guests, how this podcast is helping you. What areas could we do better? Shoot me an email message to hello@joanposivy.com or by DM on Instagram @joanposivy. Thanks for listening and hustle on.